My wife cheated in our bed, so I recorded it, ruined her career, and took her gallery forever. The 40th floor of Seattle's Columbia Center offered a commanding view of the city. But Connor Bennett barely noticed the spectacular cinst painting the sky in brilliant oranges and deep purples. Instead, his attention was fixed on his phone, watching as the small dot representing his wife's car moved across the GPS map, heading once again toward the Pearl District. At 38, Connor had built his life on attention to detail. It was what made him one of the city's most successful corporate lawyers, and now it was what was showing him exactly how his marriage was crumbling. The elegant ethos around him reflected his success. Dark mahogany furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows, and walls adorned with his law school diploma from Harvard and various professional accolades. But right now, none of that mattered. What mattered was the pattern he'd been watching unfold over the past 3 months. Every Tuesday and Thursday between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., Savannah's car would be parked near the Maxwell Hotel. Connor set his phone down on his desk, the polished surface reflecting the device like a mirror. He loosened his T's lightly, a rare gesture of frustration for a man known for his impeccable composure. The signs had been accumulating like evidence in a case he never wanted to take. Hushed phone conversations that ended abruptly when entered the room. Sudden goals, nights out that multiplied each week, and a new password on her phone that appeared 3 months ago. A knock at his office door interrupted his thoughts. Mr. Bennett. Michael, his assistant of 5 years, stood in the doorway holding a stack of files. The Thompson merger documents are ready for your review, and Mr. Richardson called again about the Peterson case. Connor straightened in his chair, his professional mask sliding back into place effortlessly. Thank you, Michael. Tell Richardson. I'll call him back within the hour. He paused, then added, and clear my schedule for next Thursday afternoon. I'll be working from home. After Michael left, Connor opened his laptop and pulled up his email. The latest report from Dean Walker, theft investigator he had hired 2 weeks ago, sat unopened in his inbox. Dean came highly recommended by Robert Young, a fellow partner at the firm, who had unfortunately needed similar services during his own divorce last year. Connor clicked open the email, his jaw tightening as he read, Mr. Bennett. Additional surveillance confirms regular meetings at Maxwell Hotel. Subject to Mrs. Bennett arrives consistently, been to 15 p.m. and 2:30 p.m., departing between 4:45 p.m. and 5 p.m. Subject B, identified as Isaac Matthews, maintains similar Arrival departure pattern, typically arriving 5 to 10 minutes after Subject A. Background check on Subject B reveals Isaac Matthews, age 41, CEO of Matthews Development Group, divorced twice, 2012 and 2018, known in social circles for pursuing married women, currently serving on boards of 3 major real estate development companies, resides in Mercer Island waterfront property. No criminal record attached. Photo stop. Meetings over past 2 weeks. Hotel receipts. Surveillance logs. Additional note. Subject B has a pattern of similar behavior. Found evidence of at least 2 other extramarital affairs within past 18 months. Both ended in divorces. Awaiting further instructions, Dean Connor opened the attached photos, each one landing like a punch to his gut despite his outward calm. The first showed Savannah entering the hotel wearing a blue dress he bought her for their anniversary last year. Anatha captured her and Isaac at an intimate dinner at Camas, their heads close together, hands touching across the... The final set documented their hotel meetings, time-stamped and methodically organized. The man in the photos, Isaac Matthews, epitomized everything Connor despised. Old money arrogance combined with new money trueness, Connor had encountered him at various charity events over the years. Always surrounded by women, always wearing that smug smile that suggested he could take whatever he wanted. A memory surfaced. The Chamber of Commerce gala 3 months ago. Connor had been tied up with the Peterson case presentation, arriving late, to find Dysack and Savannah engaged in what appeared to be an intense conversation at the bar. At the time, he dismissed Eater's networking. Savannah had been trying to gain donors for her art gallery. Now, the memory took on a different, darker significance. Connor minimized the email and opened his bottom desk drawer. Inside lay a small vial labeled genuine grade 8 itching powder that he'd ordered from a specialty shop in Portland. The owner, an elderly man with knowing eyes, had warned him about its potency. "This ain't your grandfather's itching powder, Mr. Bennett. This is pharmaceutical grade. One contact and they'll be feeling it for hours." His phone buzzed with a text from Savannah working late at night. "The gallery has a new installation coming." Connor stared at the message, noting how the lie came so easily to her now. The gallery's installation schedule sat on his desk. Nothing was scheduled for tonight. He'd started keeping track of everything 3 months ago when the first suspicions began nagging at him. "Yes, huge case. Don't wait up," he typed back, watching as those 3 dots appeared immediately, showing her relief at his response. 10 years of marriage, 10 years of building a life together, of supporting her dreams, of planning a future. Connor's mind drifted back to their first meeting at the Seattle Art Museum fundraiser. She'd been so passionate about art, so genuine in her desire to make it accessible to everyone. Her laugh had drawn him in first, bright and authentic, filling the stuffy gallery with life. He'd asked her about every painting she looked at, not because he cared about art, but because he loved watching her eyes light up as she explained the symbolism and technique. He'd supported her dream, of painting her own gallery, both financially and emotionally. The Bennett Gallery had become one of Seattle's most respected contemporary art spaces under her direction, and now she was throwing it all away for cheap thrills, with a manknown for collecting marriages like trophies. Connor pulled up the security camera app on his phone. He'd had the system installed last week under the guise of gallery security concerns, but the cameras covered their entire house. The master bedroom feed showed Savannah rushing around, changing sheets, setting out candles. The sight of her preparing the bedroom for another man made his blood boil, but he forced himself to watch. A lawyer's greatest weapon was preparation, and he intended to be very prepared. A new email notification popped up on his screen, the final piece had been waiting for. His friend Thomas, a detective with Seattle PD, had come through with Isaac Matthew's complete background check. Connor scanned the document, his lawyer's mind cataloging potential pressure points, multiple harassment complaints from former employees. All settled out of court. 2 messy divorces with sealed records, several tax audits, all suspiciously clean. Board positions at conservative companies that valued reputation above all, perfect. Isaac's carefully maintained image was his weak point. Connor allowed himself a small, cold smile as he began composing 2 emails. One to Isaac's board members, and another to Seattle's most influential gossip columnist. He saved both to his drafts folder, ready to be sent at the right moment. The next hour passed in methodical preparation. Connor gathered everything he needed, the itching powder-treated sheets he prepared the night before, multiple cameras set to different angles, and all thought documentation of their affair organized chronologically. A lawyer's case was only as strong as its evidence, and Hayhard built an ironclad one. He left his office precisely at 7:30 p.m. nodding goodbye to the cleaning staff. The drive home was automatic, his mind running through his plan like a closing argument. He parked his Tesla around the corner from their Queen Anne Hill home. Out of sight from both the street and driveway, the house stood dark against the twilight sky, its modern architecture and floor-tasseling windows now feeling like a glass cage of betrayal. Connor entered through the garage's side door, his footsteps silented the polished concrete floor. In the laundry room, he retrieved the sheets he prepared, each thread infused with industrial-grade itching powder through a careful soaking and drying process. The powder was invisible but potent. He tested a small amount on his arm and felt the effects for hours. Moving through the house like a shadow, Connor made his way to the master bedroom. Savannah had left everything perfect. For her rendezvous, fresh flowers, scented candles, and what she thought were clean sheets. He replaced them with his treated ones, making sure everything looked exactly as she'd left it. The powder was invisible to the naked eye, but he could almost feel its presence, waiting like justice in thread form. His phone vibrated. A text from Dean. Both subjects en route to your location. Eta 15 minutos. Connor settled into his home office, which offered a clear view of the driveway while keeping him hidden from sight. The security camera feed showed every angle of the house on his laptop screen. The trap was set. Now all had to do was wait. At precisely 8:17 p.m., Savannah's white Mercedes pulled into the driveway, followed 3 minutes later by a black Range Rover, Isaac's car. Connor's hands clenched into a fist as he watched through the cameras. Savannah emerged first, wearing a red dress he'd never seen before. Her hair was styled differently, too, softer and more casual than her usual gallery owner sophistication. Isaac stepped out of his Range Rover with the casual confidence of a man who had done this many times before. He was dressed in what Connor recognized as a Tom Ford suit, probably worth more than most people's monthly salary. Everything about him screamed new money, trying to look old money, from his artificially tousled hair to his loafers without socks. Through the cameras, Connor watched their entrance into the house. Their hushed laughter echoed through the hallway as they made their way upstairs, completely unaware of his presence or what awaited them. You look incredible tonight. Isaac's voice carried clearly through the camera's audio. I've been thinking about you all day. Savannah giggled. That same laugh that had once been reserved for Connor floated down the hallway. Well, we have the whole house to ourselves tonight. Connor's working late again. Always working, isn't he? Isaac's smug tone made Connor's jaw clench. His loss is definitely my gain. You deserve someone who puts you first. Savannah's voice held a note of hesitation that surprised Connor. Sometimes I feel guilty about all this. Guilty. Isaac's law was dismissive. You said yourself he's married. To his job. When was the last time he really looked at your art, really listened to you? You deserve passion, spontaneity, excitement. They moved into the master bedroom and Connor switched to that camera feed. He watched as they approached the bed, his bed in his house, where he and Savannah had built their life together. But soon, very soon, they would learn the price of their betrayal. The first signs of discomfort appeared gradually. Savannah shifted positions slightly, trying to maintain her composure as she could. Then, she started scratching her arm, attempting to be subtle about it. Is everything okay? Isaac asked, already beginning to squirm himself. Something feels weird, Savannah muttered, now scratching her shoulder, more obviously. Do you feel that Isaac was scratching his chest frantically? What the hell, it's like. He couldn't finish the sentence as the itching intensified, spreading across their bodies like wildfire. The scene devolved into chaos as both of them began scratching uncontrollably. Savannah let out a yelp of discomfort. Isaac jumped off the bed, desperately trying to understand what was happening. Oh God, what is this? Savannah cried out, scratching frantically at her arms and legs. It's burning. Isaac was no better off, practically dancing as he tried to reach every itching spot. This is insane. What did you do to your bed? That was Connor's. Q. He stood up, straightened his tie, and walked calmly toward the master bedroom. The sound of their distress grew louder with each step, a symphony of karma being served. He pushed open the bedroom door, Mackenzie, to capture everything on his phone's camera. The scene before him was exactly what he'd hoped for. Savannah and Isaac, both red-faced and frantically scratching. Their romantic rendezvous transformed into a moment of misery. Well, Connor's voice cut through their panicked movements like ice. Isn't this cozy? Savannah rose, her face draining of color as she realized who was standing in the doorway. Connor, this isn't what Savannah. Connor's voice remained eerily calm. Isn't exactly what it looks like, because it looks like my wife is having an affair in our bed with this. He gestured dismissively at Isaac. This pathetic excuse for a man. Isaac, still scratching furiously, tried to muster some dignity. Look, Bennett. We should talk about this like adults. Connor's laugh was cold and sharp. Adults don't sneak around like teenagers. Adults don't destroy marriages for cheap thrills. But since you mentioned being adults, he pulled out a thick envelope from his jacket. Let's discuss this like adults. He tossed the envelope onto the bed. Photos spilled out, dozens of them showing Savannah and Isaac together at various locations, along with hotel receipts and time-stamped surveillance footage. 10 years of marriage, Connor continued, his voice steady but filled with controlled rage. 10 years of trust, of building a life together, and you threw it all away for what? Some excitement. A cheap thrill with a man who makes a hobby out of destroying marriages. Savannah, tears streaming down her face, reached out toward Connor. Please, I can explain everything. Save it. Connor cut her off. I'm not interested in your explanations or excuses. You made your choice, Savannah. Now you get to live with the consequences. He pulled out his phone, showing the live security camera. Feed. Everything that's happened here tonight. It's all recorded. Every meeting you've had, every lie you've told. I have it all documented. He turned to Isaac, who was still trying to maintain some semblance of dignity despite the uncontrollable itching. And you, Matthews, did you think there wouldn't be consequences? Did you think you could walk into my house, sleep with my wife, and just walk away? Isaac, despite his discomfort, attempted a sneer. You don't scare me, Bennett. I've dealt with angry husbands before. Oh, I'm sure you have, Connor interrupted, his voice dripping with contempt. But I'm not just an angry husband. I'm a man who believes in justice, in consequences. And trust me, this is just the beginning. He pulled out his phone again, showing Isaac a draft email addressed to his board of directors. Your business partners might be very interested in seeing how you conduct your personal affairs, especially given those harassment settlements you tried so hard to keep quiet. The color drained from Isaac's face as the implications sank in. His reputation in the business community was everything, and Connor knew it. Yeah, wouldn't, Isaac started. But Connor's cold smile stopped him mid-sentence. Try me, Connor challenged. I've already prepared a very interesting presentation for your board of directors. I wonder how they'll feel about their CEO using business meetings as cover for his affairs, or about those sealed divorce records he managed to unseal. Savannah, who had been quietly sobbing, suddenly found her voice. Connor, please, we can work this out. I made a mistake. A mistake. Connor's voice was razor sharp. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary, Savannah. This was a choice. You chose to betray everything we built together. You chose to lie, to sneak around, to bring another man into our home. He gestured at their frantic scratching. How does it feel? The burning discomfort. That's what betrayal feels like. Unbearable, isn't it? He walked to the closet and pulled out I took the liberty of packing some of your things. You can send movers for the rest later. I suggest you find somewhere else to stay tonight. Although, he glanced at Isaac with a smirk. I hear the Maxwell Hotel has quite comfortable beds. You can't. Just throw me out, Savannah protested, still scratching. This is my house. Actually, I can, Connor corrected her. The prenup you signed is quite clear about infidelity. Section 3, paragraph 2. You might want to review it with your lawyer. Speaking of which, he pulled out another envelope. These are divorce papers. I've had them ready for weeks. My lawyer will be in touch with the full documentation of your affair. Isaac, trying to salvage some dignity despite the intense itching, started toward the door. This isn't over, Bennett. Oh, beaut it is. Connor blocked his path. And Isaac, I'd be careful about making threats. I have enough evidence to destroy both your personal and professional reputation. Every hotel receipt, every inappropriate business meeting, every harassment settlement you tried to bury. Walk away now, and maybe I'll be generous enough to only Sharath evidence with your board of directors, not the media. Isaac's face, contorted with a mix of rage and fear, made all the more pathetic by his constant scratching. You're bluffing, am I? Connor pulled out his Finnegan, showing Isaac a series of documents. These are the unsealed records from both your divorces. Fascinating reading. I particularly enjoyed the parts about how you used company resources to pursue married women. I wonder how your conservative board members would feel about that. The threat hung in the air like a sword. Isaac, finally, showing a crack in his arrogant facade, backed down. He stumbled toward the door, dignity forgotten, as the itching became unbearable. Oh, and Isaac, Connor called after him. I'd suggest a cold shower. It might help with the itching, though probably not with your conscience. The sound of Isaac's hurried footsteps down the stairs was followed by the slam off the front door and the screech of tires as his Range Rover peeled away from the house. Connor turned back to Savannah, who had collapsed onto the bed, sobbing. Her mascara ran down her cheeks in black rivers as she scratched at her arms. I love you, Connor. Please, we can fix this. Love. Connor's voice was glacial. Love doesn't meet other men in hotel rooms. Love doesn't lie and sneak around. Love doesn't betray. He picked up her suitcase and set it by the door. You have 30 minutes to get out of my house. Whatever you leave behind, you can collect when I'm not here. Connor, please. Savannah's voice broke. 10 years. You can't just throw away 10 years. I didn't throw anything away, Savannah. You did. Connor's voice was final. You threw it away every time you'd met him. Every lie you told. Every time you brought him into our home. He gestured to the divorce papers. Theobald's in your court now. Fight it if you want. But remember, I have everything documented. Every meeting, every hotel visit, every lie. Do you really want all of that made public? Savannah struggled her feet, still scratching. What about the gallery? Our friends, our life photographer. The gallery is in my name. Another thing you didn't read carefully in the prenup. As for our friends, Connor pulled out his phone one last time. By morning, they'll all know exactly what kind of person you are. It prepared emails for everyone in our social circle. Just enough information to ensure they know the truth, with plenty of evidence to back it up. You're destroying everything, Savannah whispered. No, Savannah, you destroy everything. I'm just making sure you face the consequences. Connor walked to the door. Oh, and a word of advice. That itching it'll last for hours. Consider it a reminder of what betrayal feels like." He walked out of the bedroom, ignoring Savannah's continued pleas. Making his way to his home office, Connor sat down at his desk and poured himself a glass of aged scotch. Through the security cameras, he watched as Savannah, still scratching frantically, gathered her things and stumbled out of the house. As her Mercedes disappeared down the street, Connor allowed himself a moment to feel the weight of what had just happened. 10 years of marriage ended in a single night of calculated revenge. He pulled up his email and sent the 2 pre-prepared messages, one to Isaac's board of directors with selected evidence of his inappropriate behavior, and another to their social circle with just enough information to ensure everyone would know exactly what had happened. Connor looked out his office window at the now dark Seattle skyline. The city lights twinkled like stars, unchanged by the drama that had just unfolded. He felt no joy in what he'd done, but he felt something more important. Justice. He had maintained dignity, executed his revenge with precision, and ensured that both Savannah and Isaac would face the consequences of their actions. The marriage was over, but Connor had emerged stronger, his self-respect. He hadn't begged, hadn't lost control, hadn't stooped to their level. Instead, he had orchestrated a revenge that they would remember for the rest of their lives, one that made them physically feel the burning discomfort of their own betrayal. As he sipped his scotch, Connor knew that while his marriage was over, his life wasn't. He had handled this crisis with the same strategic precision that had made him successful in his career. Tomorrow, he would wake up and begin rebuilding his life, leaving Savannah and Isaac to deal with the wreckage of their choices. The itching powder had been juvenile, perhaps, but effective, a perfect metaphor for the burning consequences of betrayal. And as Connor reviewed the security footage one last time, he knew that neither Savannah nor Isaac would ever forget the night their affair quite literally came back to scratch them. 2 days after the confrontation, Connor sat in his office, reviewing the cascade of emails and messages that had flooded in since he had exposed the affair. The sun was just rising over Seattle's skyline, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. That contrasted sharply with the storm he had unleashed in their social circle. His phone buzzed. Another mess from Savannah. "Connor, please, at least talk to me. The gallery opening is tonight and everyone's asking questions. We need to discuss how to handle this." He deleted the message without responding. The gallery opening had been planned for months, a showcase of emerging artists that Savannah had curated. Now it would serve a different purpose, the public unveiling of her humiliation. "Mr. Bennett," Michael appeared in the doorway. "Mrs. Bennett?" "Isha, she's quite insistent on seeing you." Connor straightened his tie, face hardening. "Send her in." Savannah burst through the door moments later, still bearing visible signs of the itching powder's effects. Her usual polished appearance was marred by red scratches along her neck and arms, and her eyes were swollen from crying. "You've ruined everything," she spat, slamming her hands on his desk. "The gallery board is meeting tomorrow to discuss my position. Our friends won't even speak to me. And Isaac's board of directors, is having an emergency meeting about his conduct." Connor finished, his voice cold. "Funny how actions have consequences, isn't it? This isn't about consequences. This is revenge. No, Savannah, this is justice." Connor stood towering over her. "You want to talk about the gallery opening? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how you seed me connections to build your career. How you used my money to create your dream, all while sneaking around with a man who treats marriage like a sport." Savannah's face crumpled. "I made a mistake." "A mistake?" Connor laughed harshly. "A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. You made a choice. Multiple choice. Every time you met him, Every lie you told. Every time you brought him into our home. I never meant to hurt you, she whispered. But you did mean to deceive me, to humiliate me, to betray everything we built together. Connor's voice was razor sharp. Tell me, was it worth it? Was he worth throwing away 10 years of marriage? Before she could answer, his phone buzzed. He glanced at a news alert about Matthew's development group. His lips curved in a cold smile as he turned the screen towards Savannah. Look at that. Isaac's board isn't happy about their CEO's extracurricular activities. Share prices dropping. Investors pulling out. It's amazing how quickly an empire can. Savannah's face palled. What did you do? I told the truth, Savannah. That's all. The truth about his pattern of pursuing married women. About using company resources for his affairs. About harassment settlements he tried to hide. Connor's smile was predatory. The truth has a way of destroying carefully built lies. A knock at the door interrupted their confrontation. Michael stepped in cautiously. Mr. Bennett, Mr. Matthews is here. He's quite insistent. Perfect timing. Connor's smile grew colder. Send him in. Isaac stormed into the office, his usual polished appearance disheveled. Like Savannah, he bore visible scratch marks, and his eyes were wild with rage. You smug bastard, Isaac snarled, advancing toward the desk. Do you have any idea what you've done? I have exactly 3 minutes for this conversation, Connor replied calmly, checking his watch. That's how long before security arrives. Make them count. My board is threatening to remove me. Investors are pulling out. My reputation, your reputation. Connor cut him off. You mean the carefully constructed facade of a successful businessman? The one that hid the truth about your hobby of destroying marriages? Savannah stepped between them. Both of you stop this. Stay out of this. Both men snapped simultaneously. Or what? Connor continued, his voice dripping with contempt. You'll seduce another man's wife. Add another notch to your belt of broken marriages. Isaac's face wrined. This isn't over, Bennett. I have lawyers, too. Yes, let's talk about lawyers. Connor picked up a folder from his desk. Let's talk about the sealed records from your divorces, the harassment settlements, the creative accounting in your company books. Should I continue? You're bluffing, am I? Connor opened the folder, spreading photos across his desk. Here's you using company funds for your little rendezvous. Here's evidence of how you manipulated company schedules to cover your affairs. Here's documentation of the settlements you paid to keep former employees quiet. He looked up, eyes cold. Would you like him to share these with the SEC? The color drained from Isaac's face. You wouldn't dare. Try me. Connor's vase was still. You came into my home, slept with my wife, thought you could walk away without consequences. Now Yeo, learning that every action has a price. I'll destroy you, Isaac threatened. But his voice wavered. Security's arriving in 30 seconds, Connor noted calmly. But before they escort you out, let me be clear. This is just the beginning. If you attempt any form of retaliation, if you so much as breathe in my direction, I'll release everything, every document, every photo, every piece of evidence I've gathered. Your career won't just be damaged, it'll be obliterated. Isaac's hands clenched into fists. You think you're so righteous, you're just controlling. 20 seconds, Connor interrupted. And Isaac, that itching, consider it a preview of how uncomfortable your life can become too. Security guards appeared at the door. Mr. Bennett, Mr. Matthews was just leaving. Connor said smoothly. Where into you, Isaac? Isaac glanced between the guards, then back at Connor. This isn't over. Actually, it is. But keep pushing, Gand. I'll show you just how much worse it can get. As the guards escorted Isaac out, Savannah remained, Trembling. Connor, please. We need to talk about this reasonably. Reasonably. Connor's laugh was harsh. Like how you reasonably decided to betray our marriage. How you reasonably brought him into our home. I know I hurt you. No, Savannah. You didn't. Just hurt me. You destroyed everything we built together. And now you're going to experience exactly what that feels like. He turned to his computer. The gallery board received documentation of how you used company resources for your affair. How you scheduled your meetings with Isaac during business hours. How you lied to donors about gallery events to cover your tracks. Savannah gasped. You can't. I already did. Connor's fingers moved across the keyboard. Check her email. The board's decision should be arriving any minute now. Her phone buzzed. Savannah's hands shook as she read the message, tears welling in her eyes. They're suspending me pending an investigation. Connor, this is my life's work. Was your life's work. He corrected. Just like I was your husband. Past tense. What do you want from me? She whispered nothing. Connor's verse was ice. I don't want explanations, apologies, or excuses. I want you to experience exactly what betrayal feels like. To lose everything you worked for, just like you were willing to throw away everything we built. He stood, straightening his suit. The divorce papers have been filed. My lawyer will contact yours. Don't bother contesting anything unless you want every detail of your affair made public. You're cruel, Savannah choked out. No, I'm methodical. Cruel would be telling everyone how you laughed about deceiving me, how you planned your meetings while pretending to work at the gallery, how you used our home, our bed for your affair. He paused. Would you like me to be cruel, Savannah? She backed away, shaking her head. Then take the divorce settlement and disappear, because if you fight me on this, I'll make sure the entire city knows exactly who you really are. After Savannah fled his office, Connor turned to the window, watching the morning traffic flow below. His phone buzzed with notifications, messages from friends expressing shock and support. News alerts about Isaac's company's plummeting stock, emails from the gallery board. Michael appeared at the door again. Sir, the Thompson merger meeting is in 10 minutes. Thank you, Michael. Connor straightened his tie, his professional mask sliding back into place. He had a merger to close, clients to represent, a life to continue. Living, the satisfaction of revenge, wasn't in the big moments of confrontation, he realized. It was in the thousand small ways their lives would unravel. Every whispered conversation that stopped when Savannah entered a room. Every investor row pulled out of Isaac's projects. Every friend who chose sides. His phone buzzed again. Another message from Savannah. The gallery was my dream. How could you take that from me? Connor typed back his first and only response. The same way you took my trust. One calculated decision at a time. Later that evening, Connor arrived at the gallery opening, his presence causing an immediate stir among the attendees. He deliberately timed his arrival to coincide with what should have been Savannah's opening speech. Instead, the gallery's vice president, Rachel, was awkwardly addressing the crowd. Connor's old friend from the police department, Thomas, approached immediately. Didn't expect to see you here tonight. Why not? Connor adjusted his cufflinks. Own the building. The whispers intensified as he made his way through the crowd. He could see Savannah across the room, surrounded by what remained of her support system, a notably smaller group than usual. She looked pale, still bearing the itching powder incident. Her usual confidence replaced by visible anxiety. Mr. Bennett, Rachel, intercepted him before he could move further into the gallery. I wasn't sure you'd attend, given the circumstances, and missed their chance to see how my investment is performing. Connor's smile was sharp. Speaking of which, how did the board meeting go? Rachel shifted uncomfortably. We've temporarily suspended Savannah's position pending. Pending what? Savannah's voice cut through their conversation. She crossed the room, eyes blazing despite her disheveled appearance. Pending you all deciding my personal life matters more than my work. Connor turned to face her, his voice carrying just enough to reach nearby ears. Your personal life stopped being personal when you conducted it during business hours using gallery resources. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Savannah hissed, watching everything I built crumble. Actually, I built this. Connor corrected her. Mimini, my connections, my support. You just took credit for it while sleeping with another man. The nearby conversation stopped, as people pretended not to listen while hanging on every word. Connor, please. Savannah's voice dropped to a whisper. Not here, not tonight. Why not? Isn't this what Yao wanted, an audience? He gestured to the crowd. They should know who they're really dealing with. How many meetings with Isaac did you schedule during gallery hours? How many donor events did you use as cover? That's enough. Isaac's voice boomed across the gallery as he pushed through the crowd. He looked even worse than he had that morning, his usual polished appearance completely undone. You've made your point, Bennett. Connor's smile widened. Isaac, shouldn't you be in an emergency board meeting right now? You smug son of a Isaac started forward, but 2 security guards stepped in his path. Is there a problem here? One guard asked, hand on his radio. No problem, Connor replied smoothly. Mr. Matthews was just leaving, weren't you, Isaac? Unless you'd like me to share those interesting documents with everyone here. Isaac's face contorted with rage. You think you've won. This isn't over, actually. It is. Connor pulled out his phone. Your board's decision should be coming through any minute now. Shall we wait for it together? As if on cue, Isaac's phone buzzed. The color drained from his face as he read the message. Suspended pending investigation. Connor's voice carried clear across the now silent gallery. It's amazing how quickly things fall apart when the truth comes out, isn't it? Isaac crumpled the phone in his fist, rage distorting his features. You think this is justice? You're just a vindictive bastard with too much time and money. No. Connor's voice remained steady. I'm a man who believes in consequences, something you're finally learning about. Both of you, stop this. Savannah stepped between them. This is a gallery opening. There are important donors here. Oh, now you care about the donors. Connor was sharp. Tell them, Savannah. Tell them how many meetings you missed because you were too busy meeting. Isaac at the Maxwell Hotel. The crowd's whispers grew louder. Several prominent donors began edging toward the exit. Mr. Matthews, one of the security guards, stepped closer. I need you to leave now. Isaac straightened his wrinkled jacket, trying to salvage some dignity. You'll regret this, Bennett. I promise you, Morathreet. Connor pulled out another envelope. Interesting timing. I was just about to share these documents with the ACC, details about some creative accounting in your development projects. Want to stay and watch me send them? The remaining color drained from Isaac's face. Without another word, he turned and stormed out, shoving past the avid crowd. Savannah grabbed Connor's arm. Why are you doing this? Destroying me wasn't enough. Yeah, we had to do it publicly. Public. Connor's voice was ice. Like how public? It would have been when you planned to leave me for him. Don't think I didn't find those apartment listings on your laptop. Savannah stepped back, shocked. How did you? I know everything, Savannah. Every lie, every meeting, every plan you made. He glanced around at the watching crowd. And now they know, too. Thomas stepped forward, trying to defuse the situation. Maybe we should take this somewhere private. Private. Connor's smile was razor sharp, like how private their affair was supposed to be. No, I think every Inishhold hear this. He raised his voice slightly. Should I tell them about the gallery funds you misappropriated for your little rendivis, or about the donor meetings you cannot to meet him? Rachel cleared her throat nervously. Mr. Bennett, please. This isn't the place. Actually, it's exactly the place. Connorted to address the crowd directly. My wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, thought she could use this gallery built with Mimini and connections as cover for her affair. She thought she could deceive everyone here just like she deceived me. Stop it, Savannah whispered, tears streaming down her face. Stop, like how you stopped lying, like how you stopped betraying our marriage. Connor's voice was relentless. No, Savannah. You wanted to play games with people's lives. Now you get to see how it feels to lose everything you valued. I'm leaving. Savannah choked out, grabbing her purse. Good idea, Connor dead. Though you might want to check your office first. The board's decision about your employment should be finalized by now. As Savannah fled toward her office, the crowd parted like water. The whispers grew louder. Phones appeared as people began texting and calling, spreading the news through Seattle's social circles. That was brutal, Thomas muttered, stepping closer to Connor. That was necessary, Connor corrected him. Actions have consequences. She's just beginning to understand that. His phone buzzed. Another email from Dean, the private investigator. More evidence of Isaac's Myers. More ammunition for Connor's campaign of destruction. He smiled coldly as he read it. The night was still young and he had more consequences to deliver. From her office, a crash echoed through the gallery, followed by Savannah's scream of frustration. Connor smiled slightly, knowing she had just read the board's final decision. The remaining guests shuffled uncomfortably, torn between curiosity and a desire to flee. Ladies and gentlemen, Rachel stepped forward, trying to salvage the evening. Perhaps we should. The office door burst open. Savannah emerged, clutching a letter in her trembling hands. Effective immediately. You had them fire. Effective immediately. Actually, Connor replied calmly. They made that decision on their own. Something about breach of fiduciary duty and misuse of gallery resources. This was my life's work. Oh, this was my investment that you used to facilitate your affair? Connor's voice carried through the silent gallery. How many times did you tell me you were meeting donors when you were really meeting him? How many gala events did you schedule around your hotel rendezvous? Mr. Bennett, a distinguished-looking man, stepped forward. Harold Wright, one of the gallery's biggest donors. Is this true? Were our meetings cancelled for Before Savannah could respond, Connor pulled out his phone. Would you like to see the evidence, Mr. Wright? I have a detailed record of every cancelled meeting and where she really was. That won't be necessary, Wright replied coldly, turning to Savannah. I think we've seen enough. He turned to leave. Several other donors following his lead. Wait, Savannah called after them. Please, I can explain. Explain what? Connor's voice cut through her plea. How you used their time and money as cover for your affair. How you turned this gallery into your personal playground while betraying everyone who trusted you. More guests began leaving, their whispered conversations carrying through the gallery. I always thought they were perfect together. Did you hear about the hotel meetings? Poor Connor. He supported her dreams, and Savannah spun to face him, tears streaming down her face. Are you happy now? You've destroyed everything. No, Savannah. Yao destroyed everything. I'm just making sure you understand exactly what that feels like. He gestured to the empty gallery. How does it feel watching everything you worked for slip away? Watching people realize who you really are. You're a monster, she whispered. A monster. Connor laughed coldly. A monster is someone who takes 10 years of trust and love and treats it like garbage. A monster is someone who brings their lover into their marriage bed. A monster is someone who lies and deceives and betrays, all while pretending to be perfect. Wife, Rachel approached cautiously. Savannah, you'll need to clear out your office tonight. Security will supervise. You can't do this to me, Savannah protested. I built this gallery's reputation using my money, my connections, and my name, Connor interrupted. And now you've lost it all, just like I lost my marriage to your lies. His phone buzzed again. Another message from Dean, Matthews Development Group. Stock down 30% after board suspension announcement. Emergency investor meeting called for tomorrow. Connor showed the message to Savannah. Looks like Isaac's having a rough day too. Karma's funny that way. Why are you doing this? She demanded. Why destroy both our lives? I'm not destroying anything. I'm simply revealing the truth. The truth about your affair. About Isaac's business practices. A boudoir. You really are. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. You thought you could play with people's lives without consequences. You thought wrong. Security approached. Mrs. Bennett, we need you to clear your office now. Savannah looked around the nearly empty gallery, at the dreams crumbling around her, at the life she destroyed with her choices. I hope this revenge makes you happy, Connor. Happiness has nothing to do with it, he replied coldly. This is about justice, about consequences, about making sure you feel exactly what betrayal does to a person. As security escorted her to her office, Connor's phone buzzed again. News alerts about Isaac's company, messages from friends expressing support, updates. From Hislawire about the divorce proceedings, the wheels he'd set in motion were turning exactly as planned. The gallery emptied quickly after that. Seattle's elite rushing home to spread the gossip through their social circles. Connor remained, watching as Savannah packed her office under security supervision. Each box of personal items of what her betrayal had cost her. You didn't have to do it this way, Thomas said quietly, standing beside him. Yes, I did, Connor replied. Some lessons need to be learned the hard way. As Savannah packed the last of her belongings, her phone rang. Even from across the gallery, Connor could hear Isaac's angry voice through the speaker. What the hell is happening? Isaac's voice boomed. The SEC is reviewing all my company records. My investors are pulling out. Everything's falling apart. Savannah put the call on speaker, her hand shaking. He's destroyed everything, Isaac. The gallery, my reputation. Forget about the gallery. Isaac snapped. Do you have any idea what's at stake here? My company's stock has tanked. The board is talking about permanent removal. I'm looking at possible criminal investigations. Connor stepped closer, his voice carrying clearly. Having a bad day, Isaac. You. Isaac's rage was palpable, even through the phone. You think this is over. What? Connor's tone was deadly calm. Challenge the evidence. Go ahead. Fight the board's decision. Be my guest. Every move you make will only dig your grave deeper. I have powerful friends. Had powerful friends. Connor corrected. It's amazing how quickly they distance themselves when they discover who you really are. Check your email. I just sent you an updated list of investors pulling out of Matthews Development. A pause, then the sound of Isaac cursing. These were solid relationships. Years of business. Relationships built on lies tend to crumble easily, can be interrupted, just like marriages destroyed by affairs. You self-righteous bastard, Isaac snarled. You think you're so Think carefully about your next words, Connor cut in. I still have that documentation ready to send. How many creative accounting practices should they investigate? How many harassment settlements should they review? Went silent for a moment. When Isaac spoke again, his voice had lost its edge. What do you want? I didn't want anything from you, Isaac. I want you to experience exactly what it feels like to lose everything you've built. To watch your carefully constructed life crumble piece by piece. Savannah grabbed the phone. He's insane, Isaac. He's destroying what? Connor's voice was sharp. Your perfect little plan. The life you thought you'd build together after betraying me. Tell him, Savannah. Tell him about the apartment listings I found. The plans you made to leave me once you'd secured your position at Thiegelary. The color drained from Savannah's face. How did you? I told you. I know everything. Every plan, every lie, every betrayal. He turned back to the phone. How does it feel? Isaac, watching your empire crumble. Because this is just the beginning. You can't. I can and I will. Unless. Connor paused deliberately. Unless what? Isaac's voice was desperate now. Unless you both disappear. Leave Seattle. Start over somewhere else. Because if you stay, if you try to fight this, I will systematically dismantle everything you have left. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Isaac spoke, his voice defeated. You're a ruthless bastard, Bennett. No, I'm a man who believes in consequences. Remember that the next time you think about destroying someone's marriage, the line went dead. Savannah stared at the phone, then at Connor. You planned this all along. The itching powder, the evidence, threatening. You orchestrated everything. Of course I did. Connor straightened his tie. You thought you were so clever, sneaking around, making your plans. But while you were playing your little games, I was building a case Gadarin-Jevons, preparing for this exact moment. Security approached again. Mrs. Bennett, your office is cleared. We need to escort you out. Savannah looked round the gallery. One last time, tears streaming down her face. This was mid-dream. Dreams built on betrayal don't last, Connor replied coldly. Consider this your wake-up call. As security escorted Savannah toward the exit, carrying boxes of her belongings. Connor's phone lit up with the Sirisoff notifications. News alerts about Matthew's development group's plummeting stock value. Messages from mutual friends choosing sides, and an email from his lawyer confirming the divorce proceedings were moving forward. 10 years, Savannah said, pausing at the gallery entrance. 10 years of marriage, and you can destroy it all so coldly. Interesting choice of words, Connor replied, his voice glacial. Tell me, Savannah, how cold was it when you him into our bed? How cold were you every time you lied to my face? I made a mistake. No, a mistake is a me thing, unintentional. You made choices, calculated, deliberate choices. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Every time you met him, every lie you told, every plan you made to leave me, those were choices. And now you're facing the consequences. The gallery door opened, letting in a blast-off cool Seattle night air. Outside, photographers had gathered. News of the scandal had spread quickly through Seattle's social circles. You've turned me into a social pariah, Savannah whispered, watching the cameras flash. You did that yourself. I just made sure everyone knew who you really are. His watch, your time in this gallery is officially over. I suggest you leave before I have security, remove. Just then, a sleek black car pulled up outside. Isaac stepped out, looking disheveled and desperate. Savannah, we need to talk. Mr. Matthews canorcled out, his voice carrying. Perfect timing. I was just about to send those SEC documents. Wait, Isaac held Upa's hands. Just wait. He looked at Savannah, then back at Connor. You win. All right, we'll leave, both of us. Just stop this. Connor smiled coldly. Stop what? The truth, the consequences. Wisehold, I show mercy when neither of you showed any while destroying my marriage. Because this is insane, Isaac exploded. You're systematically destroying our lives. Now you understand how it feels. Connor pulled out his phone. Would you like to see what else I have? The records of your other affairs. The financial documents that don't quite add up. The harassment settlements you tried to hide. Isaac's face palled. You're bluffing. Test me. Connor's finger hovered over his phone. One button and everything goes to the SEC, the media, and your remaining investors. How you turned this gallery into your personal playground while betraying everyone who trusted you. More guests began leaving, their whispered conversations carrying through the gallery. I always thought they were perfect together. Did you hear about the hotel meetings? Poor Connor. He supported her dreams, and Savannah spun to face him, tears streaming down her face. Are you happy now? You've destroyed everything. No, Savannah. Yao destroyed everything. I'm just making sure you understand exactly what that feels like. He gestured to the empty inglery. How does it feel watching everything you worked for slip away? Watching people realize who you really are. You're a monster, she whispered. A monster. Connor laughed coldly. A monster is someone who takes 10 years of trust and love and treats it like garbage. A monster is someone who brings their lover into their marriage bed. A monster is someone who lies and deceives and betrays, all while pretending to be perfect. Wife, Rachel approached cautiously. Savannah, you'll need to clear out your office tonight. Security will supervise. You can't do this to me, Savannah protested. I built this gallery's reputation using my money, my connections, and my name, Connor interrupted. And now you've lost it all, just like I lost my marriage to your lies. His phone buzzed again. Another message from Dean, Matthews Development Group. Stock down 30% after board suspension announcement. Emergency investor meeting called for tomorrow. Connor showed the message to Savannah. Looks like Isaac's having a rough day too. Karma's funny that way. Why are you doing this? She demanded. Why destroy both our lives? I'm not destroying anything. I'm simply revealing the truth. The truth about your affair. About Isaac's business practices. A boudoir. You really are. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. You thought you could play with people's lives without consequences. You thought wrong. Security approached. Mrs. Bennett, we need you to clear your office now. Savannah looked around the nearly empty gallery, at the dreams crumbling around her, at the life she destroyed with her choices. I hope this revenge makes you happy, Connor. Happiness has nothing to do with it, he replied coldly. This is about justice, about consequences, about making sure you feel exactly what betrayal does to a person. As security escorted her to her office, Connor's phone buzzed again. News alerts about Isaac's company, messages from friends expressing support, updates from Hislawire about the divorce proceedings. The wheels he'd set in motion were turning exactly as planned. The gallery emptied quickly after that. Seattle's elite rushing home to spread the gossip through their social circles. Connor remained, watching as Savannah packed her office under security supervision. Each box of personal items of what her betrayal had cost her. You didn't have to do it this way, Thomas said quietly, standing beside him. Yes, I did, Connor replied. Some lessons need to be learned the hard way. As Savannah packed the last of her belongings, her phone rang. Even from across the gallery, Connor could hear Isaac's angry voice through the speaker. What the hell is happening? Isaac's voice boomed. The SEC is reviewing all my Company records. My investors are pulling out. Everything's falling apart. Savannah put the call on speaker, her hand shaking. He's destroyed everything, Isaac. The gallery, my reputation. Forget about the gallery. Isaac snapped. Do you have any idea what's at stake here? My company's stock has tanked. The board is talking about permanent removal. I'm looking at possible criminal investigations. Connor stepped closer, his voice carrying clearly. Having a bad day, Isaac. You. Isaac's rage was palpable, even through the phone. You think this is over. What? Connor's tone was deadly calm. Challenge the evidence. Go ahead. Fight the board's decision. Be my guest. Every move you make will only dig your grave deeper. I have powerful friends. Had powerful friends. Connor corrected. It's amazing how quickly they distance themselves when they discover who you really are. Check your email. I just sent you an updated list of investors pulling out of Matthew's development. A pause, then the sound of Isaac cursing. These were solid relationships. Years of business. Relationships built on lies tend to crumble easily, can be interrupted, just like marriages destroyed by affairs. You self-righteous bastard, Isaac snarled. You think you're a so? Think carefully about your next words, Connor cut in. I still have that documentation ready to send. How many creative accounting practices should they investigate? How many harassment settlements should they review? Went silent for a moment. When Isaac spoke again, his voice had lost its edge. What do you want? I didn't want anything from you, Isaac. I want you to experience exactly what it feels like to lose everything you've built. To watch your carefully constructed life crumble piece by piece. Savannah grabbed the phone. He's insane, Isaac. He's destroying what? Connor's voice was sharp. Your perfect little plan. The life you thought you'd build together after betraying me. Tell him, Savannah. Tell him about the apartment listings I found. The plans you made to leave me once you'd secured your position at Thiegelry. The color drained from Savannah's face. How did you? I told you. I know everything. Every plan, every lie, every betrayal. He turned back to the phone. How does it feel? Isaac, watching your empire crumble. Because this is just the beginning. You can't. I can and I will. Unless. Connor paused deliberately. Unless what? Isaac's voice was desperate now. Unless you both disappear. Leave Seattle. Start over somewhere else. Because if you stay, if you try to fight this, I will systematically dismantle everything you have left. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Isaac spoke, his voice defeated. You're a ruthless bastard, Bennett. No, I'm a man who believes in consequences. Remember that the next time you think about destroying someone's marriage. The line went dead. Savannah stared at the phone, then at Connor. You planned this all along. The itching powder, the evidence, threatening. You orchestrated everything. Of course I did. Connor straightened his tie. You thought you were so clever, sneaking around, making your plans. But while you were playing your little games, I was building a case Gadarin-Jevons, preparing for this exact moment. Security approached again. Mrs. Bennett, your office is cleared. We need to escort you out. Savannah looked round the gallery. One last time, tears streaming down her face. This was mid-dream. Dreams built on betrayal don't last, Connor replied coldly. Consider this your wake-up call. As security escorted Savannah toward the exit, carrying boxes of her belongings. Connor's phone lit up with the series-off notifications. News alerts about Matthew's development group's plummeting stock value. Messages from mutual friends, choosing sides, and an email from his lawyer confirming the divorce proceedings were moving forward. 10 years, Savannah said, pausing at the gallery entrance. 10 years of marriage, and you can destroy it all so coldly. Interesting choice of words, Connor replied, his voice glacial. Tell me, Savannah, how cold was it when you him into our bed? How cold were you every time you lied to my face? I made a mistake. No, a mistake is a me thing, unintentional. You made choices, calculated, deliberate choices. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Every time you met him, every lie you told, every plan you made to leave me, those were choices. And now you're facing the consequences. The gallery door opened, letting in a blast-off cool Seattle night air. Outside, photographers had gathered. News of the scandal had spread quickly through Seattle's social circles. You've turned me into a social pariah, Savannah whispered, watching the cameras flash. You did that yourself. I just made sure everyone knew who you really are. His watch. Your time in this gallery is officially over. I suggest you leave before I have security. Remote Vay. Just then, a sleek black car pulled up outside. Isaac stepped out, looking disheveled and desperate. Savannah, we need to talk. Mr. Matthews canorcled out, his voice carrying. Perfect timing. I was just about to send those SEC documents. Wait. Isaac held Upa's hands. Just wait. He looked at Savannah, then back at Connor. You win. All right, we'll leave both of us. Just stop this. Connor smiled coldly. Stop what? The truth, the consequences. Wisehold, I show mercy when neither of you showed any while destroying my marriage. Because this is insane, Isaac exploded. You're systematically destroying our lives. Now you understand how it feels. Connor pulled out his phone. Would you like to see what else I have? The records of your other affairs. The financial documents that don't quite add up. The harassment settlements you tried to hide. Isaac's face palled. You're bluffing. Test me. Connor's finger hovered over his phone. One button and everything goes to the SEC, the media, and your remaining investors. Your choice. The tension hung in the air for a long moment. Finally, Isaac's shoulders slumped. Come on, Savannah, let's go. Go. Savannah looked between them. Go where? Anywhere but here. Isaac muttered. He's won. There's nothing left for either of us in Seattle. Connor watched as their realization dawned on Savannah's face. She'd lost everything. The gallery, her social standing, her marriage, and now even Isaac was breaking under the pressure. You've orchestrated the perfect revenge, she said quietly. No, Savannah. I orchestrated perfect justice. Everything that's happening is a direct result of your own actions. Connor straightened his tie. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a gallery to run. As security finally escorted them out. Connor watched through the gallery windows as they argued briefly by Isaac's car before getting in and driving away. The photographer's fold, hungry for more drama. Thomas approached, shaking his head. Remind me never to cross you. I didn't do anything they didn't deserve, Connor replied. They thought they could play games with people's lives without consequences. They were wrong. His phone buzzed one final time. An email from his lawyer confirming that all divorce papers were ready for filing first thing in the morning. Everything had played out exactly as he'd planned. The gallery stood empty now, the evening's drama having cleared out the last of the guests. But Connor remained, surveying what he'd accomplished. He'd not only exposed their affair, but had systematically dismantled their lives piece by piece. The gallery, their reputations, Isaac's company, all of it crumbling because they'd underestimated him. Mr. Bennett. Rachel approached cautiously. What should we do about Thiglery's schedule, the upcoming exhibitions? Everything continues as planned, Connor replied, but under new... I trust you can handle that. Rachel nodded quickly, clearly relieved to still have a job. Of course, I'll start making calls first thing tomorrow. As she hurried away, Connor walked to the gallery's front window, watching the city lights reflect off the wet Seattle streets. He felt no joy in what he'd done, but he felt something more important: vindication. He had maintained his dignity while ensuring they felt the full weight of their betrayal. The itching powder had been just the beginning, a physical manifestation of the discomfort they brought into his life. But the real revenge had been in the methodical destruction of everything they valued. Their comfortable worlds had crumbled, not with a bang, but with the slow, inexorable pressure of consequences. Connor checked his watch. In 12 hours, the divorce papers would be filed. In 2004, the SEC would begin their investigation into Matthew's development group. In a week, Seattle's social circle would have completely ostracized both Savannah and Isaac. Perfect justice served cold and calculated. 1 week after the gallery showdown, Connor sat in his home office, reviewing the morning's headlines streaming across his tablet. Each new story felt like another nail in the coffin of Savannah and Isaac's former lives. Matthew's development group faces criminal investigation. SEC probe reveals pattern of financial misconduct. Seattle gallery director's affair leads to professional downfall. Real estate mogul empire crumbles amid scandal. Promentendevler's board calls emergency meeting. The story had exploded across Seattle's business and social circles. Each revelation more damaging than the last. Connor sat down his tablet as Michael, his assistant, entered with the morning's mail. The final divorce papers arrived from your lawyer, Mr. Bennett, he said, placing a thick manila envelope on the desk. And there's been quite a bit of activity this morning. Walk me through it. Mr. Matthews' attorney has called 5 times already. They're offering to sign a non-disclosure agreement and pay $2 million in cash if you'll help stop the SEC investigation. Michael checked his notes. Mrs. Bennett's lawyer also called. They're accepting all terms without contest. Of course, they are. Connor's smile was cold. What else? The board is meeting at noon to formalize Rachel's appointment as director. And Michael hesitated. Mrs. Bennett has been trying to reach you from different phone numbers. She's quite persistent. Put her through next time she calls, Connor decided, reaching for his coffee. It's time to end this. As if on cue, his phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Using burner phones now. Connor answered. Connor, please. Her voice cracked with desperation. The board meeting is in an hour. They are going to formally remove me from the gallery. I know, I recommended it. Connor's voice was ice. Did you really think you could use my gallery to facilitate your affair and keep your position? Your gallery? Her voice rose sharply. I built that place. I curated every exhibition, brought in every donor, made it what it is, using my money, my connections, my name. Connor pulled up a document on his screen. Let's talk about those donor meetings you canceled to meet Isaac, or should we discuss how you used gallery funds to cover your hotel expenses? Before she could respond, another call beeped through. Connor checked the ID, Isaac's lawyer. Hold on. Savannah, let me add a third person to this conversation. He merged the calls. Go ahead, counselor. I assume your client has another desperate for Mr. Bennett. The lawyer's voice was strained. My client is willing to make significant concessions. $3 million. Isaac's voice broke in. Cash untraceable. Just call off the SEC. Connor laughed coldly. Still trying to buy your way out. Turn on the financial news, Isaac. The SEC doesn't work for me. They're very interested in thought-provoking accounting practices you use to fund your affairs. You don't understand what's at stake, Isaac shouted, his composure cracking. My entire company is crumbling. Good, now you know how it feels to watch something you built get destroyed by betrayal. Listen to me. Isaac's voice turned desperate. I have 3 children from previous marriages. If these charges stick, if the investigation continues, you should have a thought about your children before using company resources to pursue married women. Connor's voice hardened. How many families have you destroyed, Isaac? How many marriages? Have you ruined for sport? A new voice joined the call. Thomas from the police department's financial crimes unit. Connor, you're going to want to hear this. Our team just flagged some interesting transfers from Matthew's development. Put it on. Speaker, Connor ordered. Everyone should hear this. Multiple offshore accounts, Thomas reported. Regular payments to at least 5 different women over the past 3 years. All married, all coded as consulting fees in the company books. That's confidential information, Isaac's lawyer protested. Not anymore, Thomas replied. The SEC has it all. They're particularly interested in how these consulting fees align perfectly with hotel reservations and travel expenses. Savannah's gasp was audible. 5 women. Isaac, you told me I was the only. Oh, this is perfect. Connor's laugh was up. Did he feed you the same lines he fed them? Savannah, about being trapped in a loveless marriage. About deserving more, I can explain. Isaac started. Please do, Connor cut in. Explain the payments to Karen Martinez or Jennifer Sullivan. Or should we discuss Rebecca Thompson? They're all willing to testify, no, Isaac. Amazing how people find their courage when a predator starts to fall. You're bluffing, Isaac tried. Amy. Connor pulled up another email. The SEC investigation goes public in 45 minutes. Your board meets in an hour. Care to guess how your investors will react when they learn about those offshore accounts? My company employs hundreds of people, Isaac protested. You're not just destroying me. No, you destroyed your company when you used Ito fund your affairs. Connor's voice was razor sharp. Tell me, Isaac, does your board know about the private techinos? The ones registered to shell companies but paid for with corporate funds. How did you? Isaac choked. I know everything. Connor pulled up another document. Every property, every payment, every affair. Thomas, tell them what else the financial unit found. Multiple properties across the West Coast, Thomas reported. All purchased through shell companies, all maintained with corporate funds. The paper trail leads right back to all Matthew's development. That's circumstantial, Isaac's lawyer started. Really? Connor interrupted. Then let's talk about the security footage, the hotel receipts, the credit card records. He paused. Or should we discuss those sealed harassment settlements, the ones you paid to keep former employees quiet? Savannah's voice broke in, trembling. Connor, please, we'll leave Seattle. Start fresh somewhere else. Just stop this systematic destruction. Systematic? Connor laughed coldly. Like how you systematically planned to leave me. Those apartment listings in Los Angeles tell an interesting story. Savannah planning your exit while using my gallery to build your reputation. Silence on her end. The timing is fascinating, Connor continued. Looking at apartments the same week, Isaac started moving money offshore. Were you planning to run away together? Use my gallery success as a launching pad for your new life. I never, Savannah started. Never what? Never meant to get caught. Never meant for me to discover your betrayal. Connor's voice was ice. Check your email, Savannah. The gallery board's decision should be arriving any moment. A notification pinged on the conference call. Savannah's sharp intake of breath confirmed she'd received it. Effective immediately, Connor read aloud. Savannah Bennett is permanently removed from her position as gallery director. All access and privileges revoked. A full audit will be conducted of all gallery operations during her tenure. An audit? Savannah's voice cracked. Connor, you know what that will do to my reputation in the art world, like what your affair did to my reputation in Thelegal community. Connor countered. How many colleagues knew about your meetings with Isaac? How many people watched? Yo, make a fool of me. Isaac's lawyer cleared his throat. Mr. Bennett, surely we can reach some arrangement. Let me be clear, Connor cut in. You have two choices. Leave Seattle within 24 hours, or I release everything. Every photo, every document, every statement from your previous victims, Isaac. The newspapers will run this story for months. You're enjoying this, Isaac accused, his voice bitter. Enjoying it? No. This is justice. This is consequences. Connor pulled up another email. Speaking of consequences, the SEC just flagged another attempt to transfer Isaac, trying to move money before they freeze. That's your personal funds. No, those were company funds you used for your affairs. The investigators are very interested in how you coded those expenses. Thomas Brokeen, again, just got word. FBI's adding attempted flight of capital to the charges. Your career is over, Isaac. Connor stated flatly. The only question is whether you face the music here in Seattle or disappear quietly, your shoes. Savannah's voice trembled. The gallery opening tonight. Rachel's taking over permanently. She already has. Yernam's been removed from everything. The website, the letterhead, the donor lists. It's like you never existed. Connor's voice was cold. How does it feel, Savannah, watching everything you built crumble? You've thought of everything, haven't you? Savannah whispered. Every possible way to destroy us. No, you did that yourselves. I just made sure you couldn't escape the consequences. Connor checked another notification on his screen. Your flight's been booked. First class to Los Angeles tomorrow morning. I suggest you both be on it. And if we refuse, Isaac will end, though his voice lacked its usual confidence. Then, at 9 a.m., every news outlet in Seattle receives a complete dossier. Your previous victims have agreed to go public. Isaac, shall I patch Karen through? She's quite eager to discuss how you destroyed her marriage. Don't, Isaac started. Or Jennifer. She kept all your messages, by the way. The ones where you promised to leave your wife, just like you promised, Savannah. Connor's voice was lethal. How many times have you played this game, Isaac? Michael appeared at Connor's office door with more documents. Sir, Matthew's development stock just dropped another 40%. The board's vote was unanimous. Hear that, Isaac? Your board just voted to remove you as CEO. Connor allowed himself a cold smile. Amazing how quickly they turned on you once the evidence came to light. My entire life's work. Isaac's voice broke. Like my marriage, the life I built with Savannah. Connor's voice hardened. Actions have consequences. It's time your both learn that. Savannah spoke up, her voice small. What about my personal belongings? At the gallery, being Pegadas, we speak. Security will supervise while you clear out your office. You have 2 hours. Connor paused. I suggest you don't try to take anything that belongs to the gallery. The audit will track everything, Connor. Savannah lidded one last time. 10 years of marriage. 10 years I'll never get back. 10 years of what I thought was love, destroyed by your choices. Connor's voice was ice. The divorce papers are ready. Your lawyer has reviewed them. Sign them before you leave town. The next morning dawned cold and grey as Connor watched a private jet taxi down the runway at SeaTac Airport. His phone buzzed with updates from Thomas, who was overseeing their departure. "They're both aboard," Thomas confirmed. "Savannah's a mess. Isaac hasn't stopped arguing with his lawyer since he arrived, and the SSS moving fast. They've frozen most of his accounts. That evidence you provided, it opened up a whole network of financial misconduct. We're talking 11 million in misappropriated funds." Connor's phone lit up with a text from Savannah. "The gallery was my dream, my life's work. I hope you're satisfied." He typed back his only response. "The marriage was my life. Now we're both starting over." Michael entered with the morning's reports. "The divorce papers are signed and filed. And sir, Mr. Matthews made one last attempt before boarding. Tried to transfer 5 million to a Cayman Islands account. Forward that to the SEC," Connor ordered. "Let them add it to the charges." He turned to the window, watching the jet begin its takeoff roll. "How's the gallery looking for tonight?" "Full attendance confirmed," Michael replied. "Every major collector. In Seattle, the press is calling it a fresh start for the gallery." Thomas whistled low. "You really thought of everything, didn't you?" "They thought they could play games with people's lives," Connor said, watching the jet lift off. "Now they're learning the price off those games." His phone rang. Isaac's lawyer. "One final attempt." "Make it quick," Connor answered. "Your client's plane just left the ground. Mr. Bennett, please." The lawyer sounded desperate. "The SEC is talking criminal charges now. His children will learn an important lesson about consequences." Connor cut them off. Their father chose to destroy families, use company money to fund his affairs, and ruin marriages for sport. Now he faces the results of those choices. That evening, the gallery hummed with Seattle's elite. Under Rachel's direction, the space had been transformed, erasing every trace of Savannah's presence. Connor moved through the crowd, accepting condolences and support from those who knew about the affair. Mr. Bennett, Rachel approached with a glass of champagne. "The Seattle Times wants a statement about the gallery's new direction. Tell the truth," Connor replied. "That integrity matters in business and in life." His phone buzzed. A final report from Dean. Subject's plane landed in LA. She's still crying. He was served with additional SEC papers on arrival. 3 more victims have come forward and surveillance. Connor texted back, "It's finished." Thomas joined him by the gallery's main window, watching Seattle's lights twinkle in the gathering dusk. Hell of a week. The SEC investigation is expanding. They're calling it one of the largest financial misconduct cases they've seen. Those offshore accounts were just the beginning. Connor nodded. "How many charges is Isaac facing now?" 6 federal counts of financial fraud, 3 state charges of misappropriation of funds, and they're still digging. Thomas shook his head. He's looking at serious prison time. And Savannah, her reputation in the art world is finished. The order traveled everything. The misused funds, the cancelled donor meetings, the gallery resources she used to cover her affair. Thomas paused. "You knew about her plans to leave even before the affair came to light, didn't you?" "I knew everything," Connor confirmed, his voice cold. "Every plan they made, every lie they told, every betrayal they planned. They thought they were so clever playing their little games. They never realized they were the ones being played." Again, the board members would like to discuss the gallery's future direction. Of course, Connor straightened his tie. Time to move forward. His phone lit up one final time. A message from Savannah. "I'm sorry for everything. I never meant." Connor deleted it without finishing. Sorry didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that justice had been served. Cold and precise. The gallery buzzed with new energy. The scandal already becoming yesterday's news. Connor had maintained his dignity while ensuring they faced the consequences of their choices. No messy confrontations, no public scenes, just the systematic dismantle of everything they valued. The itching powder had been just the beginning, a physical metaphor for the discomfort of betrayal. The real victory was in watching their carefully constructed lives crumble piece by piece under the weight of their own actions. Tomorrow he would wake up and continue building his life, stronger for having faced betrayal with dignity and precision. But Savannah and Isaac, they would spend the rest of their lives rumbling the night their affair quite literally came back to scratch them. And the devastating consequences that followed. As Seattle's lights sparkled against the night sky, Connor raised his glass in a silent toast. Some lessons had to be learned the hard way, and he'd made sure this was a lesson they'd never forget. The gallery hummed with conversation and possibility, free from the taint of betrayal. Outside, the city continued its eternal rhythm, indifferent to the lives that had crumbled within its bounds. But Connor knew that somewhere in Los Angeles, two people were beginning to understand the true cost of their choices. Perfect justice, served cold and calculated,